wish her well in what is an extremely important task for the future of our nation.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Jillian van Turnhout, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. And Minister, you're very welcome to the House, and I look forward when you are in an opportunity to publish and discuss your planned roadmap for our long-term pensions policy in Ireland, because obviously the debate here today shows the interest that we all have in that policy. But we're limited in our time today, and I just want to share my initial thoughts on the OECD review. I have 2 major concerns about how our pension system is currently operating. There are ageing population and our state's reliance on current expenditure to cover pension costs. And I'll address the latter first. Private companies fund their pension schemes through future liabilities, but the state uses current expenditure. In the private sector, we've had to see many pension schemes have been adjusted, modified, even closure of schemes to new entrants, entitlements to be cut. And you know, I'm not happy about any of that, but that's the reality of what is happening. But there's a real generational issue happening, and it's the present generation that's going to lose out. The ERSI report yesterday clearly shows that those in their 40s or under are bearing the brunt of the recession. The National Pensions Framework 2010 shows that there are 6 workers to every pensioner currently. That was in 2010. In 2030, that figure will be halved to 3 to 1. 2050, 2 workers for every 1 pensioner. And that's not guesswork, that's maths. In the public sector, the ratio is more startling, and this has been exacerbated by early retirement and the recruitment moratorium. So the same generation that is disproportionately impacted by the recession through high unemployment, mortgage arrears and negative equity will also have to pay the price of a pension shortfall if we don't deal with this issue. The very same generation. By the time this generation retires, there will be nothing left in the pot. We have a social insurance fund deficit of €1.5 billion per year, which according to KPMG will reach €324 billion over the next 55 years unless we take action now. That's €324 billion, it's a really phenomenal amount. It's nearly twice our national debt and more than twice Ireland's GDP in 2011. So we really need to get serious about talking about solutions and not just talking about the ageing populations. We need to talk. Are we going to reduce benefits? Are we going to increase PRSI contributions? It's estimated that PRSI contributions would need to be raised by 3/4 from now if we're to meet that bill over 55 years. This is how serious this is. You know, so we do need to look at an incentive, I think, for employers and employees to invest. Senator Mooney mentioned about the situation in Australia, but they started that in 1992. The Labour government brought that in with a 3% contribution. And over a 15-year period, they raised that to 9%. So maybe there is an opportunity to start at 1 or 2% at a low age and raise it. I'm not saying it's the answer, but I do think if we look at the figures, it is quite dramatic and drastic, and it's not something we can hope the economy will naturally lift us out of. We know that the earlier you start investing in your pension, the better. I note that the basic state pension, as said, Minister, in Ireland is relatively generous compared with other OECD countries, but that retirees in other countries often receive bigger pensions overall because they contribute to mandatory pensions. That's the culture and that's the system. I also note that the recent EU White Paper on an agenda for adequate, safe and sustainable pensions, which concluded the financial pressure of an ageing population will inevitably lead to longer working lives and a need for private pension funding to fill the gap left by reductions in public pensions. And we only need to look at the situation in Waterford Crystal on the defined benefit scheme. One worker retires, gets 100%. 6 months later, next one retires, gets between 18 and 28%. Is that fair? Is it equitable? And just briefly, Minister, to move on to our ageing population. We're all aware, Ireland, like the rest of Europe, we have an increasing ageing population. Currently, 781,000 people, that's about 17% of our population, are aged 60 and over. This is expected to double by 2050, so it will be 29% of our population. An ageing population will have serious consequences for Ireland, including longer working lives, lower economic growth, labour shortages, reduced consumption, considerable pressure on women to fill the gaps in the labour market alongside caring for children and elderly relatives, and considerable reduction in our social insurance fund and our national pensions reserve fund. But we do have something in favour, which is our birth rate. And Minister, just to say, we can't look at these issues in isolation. We have to invest in children. I believe that it's our collective responsibility, given that in economic terms, children are a merit good. Children have value to others beyond their family, as future taxpayers and workers, and ones whose contributions will help pay state pensions. Minister, just to sum it up, one line. Frank Field, MP in England, said, "I may not have children, but I need someone to have them if my pension is to be paid." So let's invest in children as well.
Thank you, Senator, for that very interesting conclusion. And we'll now have Senator Mary Maloney with 5 minutes.
Alaska here, Senator, I can assure you I won't be doing that. Maybe grandchildren, but not children. And welcome, Minister, to the House, as usual. Always